these were very unfortunate images, visuals we saw on social media. And imagine I was there witnessing all of that live from the Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul. When I reached on Monday morning, I reached the airport at around uh, just 10 minutes to 5 a.m. Because I had a 11 a.m. Air India flight. So I went much ahead. And as I entered the airport, I mean, just before the airport, there were like lines and queues of men, women, children, families. They're just walking with the bags towards the airport. And at the airport, they had put six tanks, six armored vehicles to stop people from getting to the airport, from accessing the airport. The crowd was so large, so huge, that they had to occasionally fire aerially, almost every couple of minutes, every 5 minutes, aerial firing, just to scare the crowd and ask them to go back. And but these were men, women, children who wanted to just escape Taliban's Afghanistan. They were desperate, they were panicking that what if these guys who had imposed and enforced, medieval era laws, 8th century laws, and those conditions that women cannot go to work, or girls can't be educated, women can't wear makeup. I mean, all these, elements. So it was a scary situation for many, many Afghan women, many, many Afghan girls, even families. These people, they didn't have tickets, they didn't have visa, some of them didn't even have passports, but they wanted to get onto a plane and leave for some place. That was the kind of desperation they were in. And so those images of people clinging on to a plane, or those horrifying images were playing out in real, I mean, in plain sight in front of me. They also show that how this population, this Afghan citizens of 2021 are different from Afghan citizens of 1996 or 1997. They are resisting, and they are wanting a ticket out, a way out of Afghanistan for a better life. They don't want to be trampled, and or want to be caged in a prison, like the Taliban was able to do when they ruled in the late 90s. So it was a horrific situation, and more than that, there were also loss of lives. People trying to climb the aircraft, or when these Talib fighters were firing at these men and women. First, they were trying to intimidate them by conducting aerial firing. They were firing in the air, but if the crowd got more sort of aggressive, they fired indiscriminately. And at least 5 lives were lost that day at the airport itself. So that just tells you how bad, how chaotic, how helpless the situation was at the airport. So it was a kind of a group of uh, Talib guards who were sort of asking questions, and he asked me how, I mean, where am I going? Kahan ja rahe ho? So I said India, and he just looked at me, and I can't forget that menacing smile. He had that very big eyes, and he smiled at me and said that India, yeah, India ke bahane America. So essentially, what he was trying to say is that most people were trying to flee to America, and America is kind of seen as this enemy number one, all of that for Taliban. They fought a long war, and now for anyone who is trying to go to America is possibly committing the most cardinal sin in their book. That was the context in which he made that sort of sarcastic remark at that point in time. And this was a boy in his 20s. He's not even like a old man or had much context. So he was in his 20s, maybe early 20s. But I kind of thought to myself that this tells you a lot about a Talib fighter's mind, the way he responded about the India America comment. So I think this tells you a lot about a Taliban's frame of mind. Taliban is trying to sort of see right now. Taliban is trying to enforce its dominance. It felt something like when a political party in India or elsewhere wins an election, how the cadre, the workers, they're energized. They feel that the time has come, and they're rejoicing, they're celebrating. So Taliban's behavior on the streets was something like that. Of course, there's no comparison. They have not won an election, a democratic election, or anything. They have grabbed power by threat of force. In some cases, they've used force, but in Kabul, they just used threat of force. And in that sense, Taliban is trying to show that they are the new boss in town. They are the new sheriff in town. And so they will, till they get their house in order, till they appoint political structures, they appoint governors, they appoint a cabinet or a council of advisors and ministers. I think we will see this kind of behavior, although they're trying to course correct, and they're very careful about their image. If you really see last 2-3 days of their behavior, they're very conscious of their image. So some of the pronouncements are aimed at gaining that legitimacy and trying to show the world that we are not the Taliban of 1996. We are the Taliban of 2021. We are Taliban 2.0. So I guess we have to see and assess what this Taliban means, what is their intent, based on their actions and not just what they say for optics, because they are trying to correct that image that we don't want to be clubbed as the Taliban of which implements medieval era laws. So the evacuation happened after much negotiation, much back and forth between the Indian embassy, the Indian government, and the Taliban regime, which has just come into place. Because these are new players in town, there are new actors in the field. So there was a lot of back and forth between the two sides before they agreed to allow the evacuation flight and evacuation operation. So we have to see this in that context. So the Indian government has decided to, and it has now evacuated its entire diplomatic mission from ambassador downwards, every staff, and they took out about 130 people from their diplomatic mission, which includes diplomats, staffers, security personnel, everyone. Plus, they also took about 2 dozen, civilians who all were also on that flight. So now, for a journalist, uh, leaving a story when it is on, when it's playing out in real life in on plain sight, leaving a story is one of the most difficult calls. It's 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 it it really, it's one of the most, when a big story happens, the reporter's instinct is to stay on the story, not to run away from there. But right now, because the situation was so fluid, it was so uncertain, we felt that we should, give priority to our safety. But having said that, I have come out on that evacuation flight, but I'm going to stay on the story, and Indian Express is going to stay on the story. We will go back to Afghanistan as and when things improve, and we will stay on that story, even if we are covering it from here. So, although we have been evacuated, I have been evacuated. It is my duty to sort of stay on the story. As a newspaper, we will not take our eyes off the ball. That is something I wanted to really say, because the evacuation operation has been carried out very well. But a journalistic priority, a journalistic duty is comes foremost.